I should be signing autographs in Sardi's. I should be being feted all over New York City.
That did it for Robert Shaw. That was, I think, the beginning of the great Dreyfus-Shaw feud.
Shaw was a troublemaker. Shaw was an instigator. He liked to get people riled up.
He was totally malicious. He really thought Dreyfus needed a slapping down. A young punk with no stage experience.
And because there was a natural tension between his character and Dreyfus's character, there was also natural tension between Shaw the actor and Dreyfus the actor.
You got city hands, Mr. Hooper. Counting money all your life.
All right. Hey, I don't need this. I don't need this working-class hero crap.
He was an enormous personality, and he radiated it. And in private, he was the kindest, gentlest, funniest guy you ever met. Then we'd walk to the set, and on the way to the set, he was possessed by some evil troll who would then make me his victim. I was his victim.
Shaw would say, look at you, Dreyfus. You eat and you drink and you're fat and you're sloppy. Your age, it's criminal. Why, you couldn't even do 10 good push-ups.
He would challenge Dreyfus on all kinds of levels. His favorite, one great trick that he did to Dreyfus as an actor is just before they'd start rolling and have to be seriously acting, Shaw would lean over to Dreyfus and say, mind your mannerisms. Then they'd start shooting. And Dreyfus, of course, would be trying to mind his mannerisms and be present as the actor.
When you're competitive with someone who's 3 times your size and who is already given one of the greatest Shakespearean performances in the world, it wasn't hard for Robert to get my number.
Robert would basically humiliate Richard into taking a chance. For instance, Robert would say, I'll give you $100 if you climb to the top of the mast on the Orca and jump off into the water.
And then one day, he was coming down the gangplank. He had a glass of bourbon in his hand, and he said, help me out, will you, Richard? And I said, you want me to help you out? Yeah.
Richard took the shot glass out of Robert's hand and threw it out the window.
At which point, every drinker on the crew went, ooh.
That was the shot heard around the world. It got ugly. It got ugly. But it was also Quint and Hooper living out that relationship as Shaw and Dreyfus.
And the next scene was me at the cleats, trying to get the cleats cut. And there was water all over the place. And Robert took the fire hose and stood behind the camera and aimed it at my face. And that was the one day that I lost my sense of humor.
Nowadays, these kids, they take out everything. Radar, sonar, electric toothbrushes.
I had this idea at one point just to have, you know, Richard watching Robert polishing off an entire can of beer, and then Quint crushes the can in his hand. I said, take your styrofoam cup of coffee and crush the styrofoam.
Got such a laugh, I can't tell you.
And Close Encounters and The Goodbye Girl. Roy Scheider, All That Jazz, and Blue Thunder. Robert Shaw passed away too young. Just 3 years after the film's release, he died of a heart attack filming in Ireland. Other actors became stars behind the camera. Jeffrey Kramer, Deputy Hendricks, ended up the executive producer of hit TV series like Ally McBeal and The Practice.
It just all worked. The actors worked, the script, which was written nightly, worked, the editing, the picture. It was this perfect creative storm. And I was just grateful to be a part of it. It was heaven.
Jonathan Filley, the boy on the beach, became a successful producer and production manager on such projects as Sex and the City and American Gangster. Lee Fierro, Mrs. Kintner, became artistic director of the Island Theater Workshop, where she still acts and directs.
I don't think any of us had any idea what a sensation this movie was going to create. and what a blockbuster it would become. None of us knew that.
And Lorraine Gary is making documentary films on human rights. Behind-the-scenes players on Jaws would have a major impact all through Hollywood. Sid Sheinberg ran Universal for 3.5 decades. He is still producing. Producers Zanuck and Brown went on to turn out some of the big hits of the past decades, from Driving Miss Daisy to The Verdict.
It's such a landmark in all of our careers. I'd had a whole life before in the business, but still it was a highlight of mine. Jaws and Spielberg became synonymous, and the rest is history.
And 35 years later, fans still love the movie.
I saw it the other day, and I was amazed that 30-some years out, and it still plays.
People still watch that movie because it scares the hell out of them.
It's probably pound for pound one of the great...
Jaws is not just a film, but a state of mind, a fear that still resonates.
I don't really hang out in the water too much.
I remember Stephen and his wife and me and my wife, we went on a vacation to Hawaii, and we were like these two old Jews, you know, standing in knee-high water and just going... And that's as far as we would get, because we had just learned too much.
I don't like deep water, never did.
During the course of the picture, I started getting very, very nervous.
We went to Hawaii for vacation to get away from everything, and I look out and the surf's pretty good.
I'm afraid to go in the water.
I said, Stephen, will you ride one of these waves and you'll get this wonderful experience?
I don't go out as far as I used to.
And he said, I'm not going out there because they're waiting for me. They know. For the rest of my life, they know, and they have a score to settle. And I'm not going in that water, you know?
I became scared of the water.
And I said, there's never any sharks at Waikiki. And he said, nope, there are sharks everywhere, and they have the word. The word is that I'm here and I'm a marked man.
I feel safe because I don't go in the water.